what is food science? Unit 1 is Introduction of Food Science and Simple Sugar. Then, what is food science? Food science is a discipline in which the biological and physical sciences and engineering are used to study the nature of food, the causes of the deteriorations, and the principles underlying food processing. Then food science, it is a science then in which the biological and physical changes of the food changes at the time of food processing. What are the biological and physical changes at the time of food processing is known as food science. Then at, in that at that study we are used to study the nature of foods. Then what are the causes of the deteriorations of food, then and the principle underlying food processing. What are the principles we are follows at the time of food processing? It is known as food science. Then second one is what is food technology. One technology also there, food technical terms. Then on the other hand, it is application of food science to the selection. First of all, we will select the food items. Then preservation is there. Then processing of food processing is there. Then after processing, we should packaging also I am there. Then after packaging, then we should distribute in the market. And use of safe, and it contains nutrition. The food processing or food the packaged food must be nutritive and with wholesome of food. It is known as technology, food technology. When after selection or after planning, we will look after the preservation, then we will proceed for processing, then packaging, then distribution in the market. And use of safe, it must be nutritious and also wholesome of foods or organic foods are also there. It is known as food technology. Then what are the scope of food science and technology? How we will pay attention to food science and technology? Then food science and technology has developed as a discipline to systematically handling various kinds of knowledge which are necessary to inform human activity at the time of handling, then processing, then distribution and marketing of foods. This includes applications of science and technology to processing and preservation, packaging, distribution, utilization of food and food products. Whatever process, whatever steps we have followed at the time of food processing, these are known as food science or food technologically. Technologically will apply to storage, processing, distribution, packaging, etc. These are known as food technology. Science is there, also technology is also there. Then food science, you will realize, actually draws on research and applies principles and practices from a broad spectrum of basic and applied sciences, including the botany, bacteriology, microbiology, mycology. Then in chemistry, biochemistry of foods are there, and analytically and organic chemistry, physics, also physics is there. That's why it is known as food science. Lots of sciences are working behind this food processing unit. That's why we will call as food science. Then what are the components? What are different subject scopes are in food technology applies the principles and concept of engineering to problem food handling and processing. Then research of the discipline biotechnology to produce new new strains of plants for foods and more efficient manufacture of food components are there. Molecular, these are the various types of scopes uh, which will pay attention in food science and technology. Lots of scopes are there. Then next we will study about components. The areas covered with each of these components are highlighted, such as food analysis and chemistry, investigations of basic composition and physical, organic, biochemical properties of food constituent at the molecular level, the changes that food constitute undergoing during processing and storage. Then we should also involve in food during food analysis and chemistry. Then these areas involves change in texture, color, flavor, and determination of the effect of processing of the nutritive value of the food. These are the techniques used by food analysis are there. Food analysis are there for protein, carbohydrate, lipid, fat, oil, colloid, enzymes, vitamin, minerals, etc. Antioxidants are there, pigments and flavors are there, secondary plant metabolites in foods are there. These are known as food analysis and chemistry. We should analyze the food while in food processing methods. Then lots of steps are there. We should also analyze the we should a food analysis where look after the nutritive value of the food at the time of food processing, such as the food must be contain food containing protein, carbohydrate, fats, vitamin, minerals, antioxidants, then pigments there, etc., etc. They should analyze about at the time of food processor. Then food analysis and chemistry were there. Then second one is food quality factors and their measurement. Within the board component, the area covered include we must focus about appearance, textural texture of the food, then flavor, then nutritional content is there or not, then sanitary cleanliness also we should look after the cleanliness, hygiene, then keeping factors, quality standard must be there. Then we should focus about quality of the foods, then objectives and organolep organoleptic evaluation techniques and programs, consumer acceptance, test panels, then change in the physical and chemical structure of the food as influenced by several intrinsic and extrinsic factors at the time of food processing. Lots of steps were there. Then after that, when we will follow that steps, then lots of the textures, colors, flavors were changed. Then we should analyze about that these flavor, colors, textures, nutritive value. We should focus on this. These are known as quality must be in good, because before it reaches to the consumer, then we should first give emphasis or focuses about their food quality and their measurements also. Then third one is nutritive aspects of food constituents and effect of processing and handling. Then after food analysis and chemistry, then we should go for food quality factors and their measurement. Then third one is we should look after the nutritive aspects of food constituents and effect of processing and handling at the time of processing and at the time of handling. Then what are the nutritive values are there. This component involves a study on nutrient stability, effects on nutrition agricultural practices, handling, processing, storage of raw and processed food, including effect at the time of cultivations, at the time of harvest, cleaning, fridge preservation, heat processing, then baking is also there, then extraction, moisture removal, fermentations, food additives, ionizing radiations, effect of home preparation and commercial food service practices. Then enrich the protein complementations of the food. Improvement of nutritional quality through plant breeding and role of the government in regulating nutritional value of the food supply. Then third one is nutritive aspects of food constituent, effect of processing and handling at the time of harvesting, at the time of cultivations. Then we should look after the raw materials. Then raw, such as while we are preparing some food processing units of base is if the base is rice or wheat base, then at the time of cultivations we should focus about their quality. Then at the time of harvest, then cleaning, then methods of preservations, um, what kind of preservatives we are using at the time of preservations. Then heat processing is what are the temperature we are maintaining at the time of heat processing. Then at the time of baking, then at the time of moisture removal for long term storage, then fermentations, then if we are adding some additives to the food, then radiations, etc. Home preparation and commercial food service practices are there. It must be enriched with protein and other nutritive values for the improvement of the nutritional quality through plant breeding and role of the government. Then at the time of cultivations we should focus about the quality of the raw materials. Then 4 is food microbiology, mycology and toxicology. Fourth one is then use of, we are using yeast, we are using molds and bacteria in production of foods and food ingredients, microbes in fermented at the time of fermentations, microbes are there. Then processing and preservation, spoilage microorganism, indicators of the food borne pathogens, we should detect it, identify it, and physiology of microorganism of the importance of food, microbiological culture also there, monitoring, testing and sampling methods are there. The development of method of prevention of spoilage of processed food, tools of molecular biology in detections of microbes and thermophils, radiation resistance microorganism, etc. etc. Fungi, quantification of fungal toxins, food toxins and toxicity. We should need the help of the microbiology. We should identify and detect the pathogens, foodborne pathogens, and we should also microbiology culture is there. We should monitoring, then testing, then sampling of the method with the help of food microbiology and toxicology department. Then the fifth one is food processing and engineering. Fundamental engineering concepts such as momentum, heat and mass transport system, processing, plant operations and automations. In food processing and engineers also requirement is there for when we will food processing unit or a big unit, it is known as plant. Then at the food processing unit, or we will call as plant, then for the plant operations one, engineering need of engineering is there. Then unit operations in food processing, food packaging materials, methods, testing, evaluation are distributed in various groups. Then engineers are, uh, they should operate in such a different types of departments in their way, such as operations in food processing is one department. Then food packaging materials also experts are there. Then methods, then in testing departments also there, and evaluations of foods are there. Effect of cell life, economic process control, optimization, automation, waste managements after processing, then waste managements are there, energy conservations are there, and then quality control is very much necessary. So in food processing and engineers are uh, control to this department. Then food product development, after that then food product developments are, food product development is oftenly commodity related. This type of research need to be carried out to the pilot plant and equipments that is usually smaller in scale than commercial equipment. Then development of newer food product with the application of the knowledge of food science and technology and evaluation of their quality, sensory and nutritional marketability. Then food product development is there with the help of newer food production or newer food production, and then applications of knowledge of food science and technology, and then evaluation is also there, and then quality check is there, sensory and nutritional quality, and then it must be in marketability. Then food product development, after that food processing and departmentalization, then we should go for food product development. Then commodity topics, then what kind of food the plants, or what kind of food the um, what kind of food processing unit we should decide what kind of food we are processing in our plant or in our unit. Then it is known as commodity topic. What is the topic of the plant, or what all aspects of food science and technology commodity groups are there, such as milk and milk product, such as, for example, one omphed unit is there, milkmore unit is there, this is known as plant. Then commodity topics is milk and milk product, then fluid milk and derivatives. Then from milk, lots of products are developed. Newer products are developed, such as ice creams and related products, cheese. Then meat, poultry, eggs, seafoods, fats, oils, related products, cereal, grains, legumes, oil seeds, vegetables. These are the various commodity topics. One is milk and milk product. Then derivatives, fluid milk and derivatives are there. Then newer products such as ice creams and related, cheese and creams, butters, etc. are also derived. Then next topic is meat, poultry and eggs, seafood. Then fats, oil related products, cereals, grains, legumes, oilseed. These are the various commodity topics are there. Then 8.1 is food safety and regulations. After we choose our topics commodity name, then after choosing our commodity name, then we should go for food safety and regulations. Food sanitation as related to public health and food plant processing rules and regulations of are there. Food ingredients, then labeling. Then we should prepare one food ingredients were used in that menus or in that food products. Then labeling, we must label and give information about the product. Then nutritional labeling is also there. What kind of nutritions are in that food products. Then food laws are also there. We manufacturing dates and then expiry date is there. Then food additives are also we also mentioned their food additives. Some artificial colors are also added or preservatives are added. Food-borne diseases detections, identification, governmental and non-governmental agencies concerned with food safety, current issues, etc. Such as these are the food-borne diseases or microbes or growth, such as salmonella in eggs, etc. For example, salmonella eggs are also there. That's why while preparing, while we are going to handle one food processing unit, such we should follow the rules and regulations of the food processing unit. And, for the identification of the food-borne detections and etc. For we should follow the rules and regulations. Last one is the food. Food processing. Then food industry. Publications of major trade association, industry standards, structure of the food industry, international food corporations, informations, allied industries, then such as packaging, steel, aluminium, paper, plastic, etc. Then food industries, we should use these types of packaging units. Example is packaging such as steel, we should package in steel, steel covered, then aluminium cover, then glass, then plastic, papers. Then chemical manufacturers are preservative enzymes are there, acetylants are there, and food machineries equipments manufacturers are also there. At the food processing unit or food safety and marketing of the food products with food prices are there in food industries. Then last one is food processing units operations. Then their operations, and they also operated in various departments. Food processing unit operations are involved in engineering aspects of food processing, then packaging, then storage. Different departments are there for operations. then for heating, then cooling, then drying, then concentrating, then textural measurement, and then separation of all processes that are often used during the processing. At the time of processing, then first we should plan for a food product, then we should go for processing, then we should packaging is there, then storage is there, then distributions are there. These are the food processing unit operations teams are there. Then after that, final food products can be related to, all processes are often during the processing of food products, and then it related to engineering principles. Under the operational managers, then the work should be distributed in various departments: packaging, processing, storage, then distributing. These are the components of the food processing unit, or these are the components of the food science and technology courses. Then 1.3 is carbohydrate in the diet. What are the classification of carbohydrates? Then these are carbohydrate classifications are: carbohydrate are made of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Then however, other elements such as nitrogen, sulfur, sometimes even phosphorus may also present in the carbohydrate. In some cases, commonly but not always, the hydrogen and oxygen in the carbohydrate present into 2:1 ratio as in water, H2O, from which the name carbon hydrate was derived. That's why it's known as carbon hydrate. Carbohydrate are sometimes referred as saccharides, which is origin from the Greek word such as saccharon, meaning sugar. In Greek word, saccharon means sugar. Then in this chemical names of carbohydrates are referred as saccharides. The simplest simple carbohydrate are called sugar or monosaccharides. And then more complex carbohydrate, when these monosaccharides are linked together to form links more than 1 unit or more than 2 to 3 units, then it is known as complex carbohydrate. Simplest carbohydrate converted to complex carbohydrate, or it is known as oligocarbohydrate or oligosaccharide or polysaccharide. Then the major dietary carbohydrates are: degree of polymerization is sugar 1 to 2 unit of, right? Then monosaccharide subgroups are then monosaccharide, when sugar unit is 1 to 2, it is known as monosaccharide. Glucose, galactose, fructose. Then disaccharides, more than 1 unit of sugar is known as sucrose, lactose, maltose. Saccharides means more than 3 to 9 units of sugar is there. Then polysaccharide, more than 9 is polysaccharide, which is known as complex carbohydrate, or starch, non-starch polysaccharides is also known as polysaccharides. Then amylose, amylopectin, modified starches, cellulose, hemicellulose, pectin, hydrocolloids, etc. Then polysaccharides contain more unit of sugar, more than 9 unit, oligosaccharide 3 to 9, monosaccharide 1 to 2 unit. Then monosaccharides are the simple carbohydrate molecules. The most commonly occurring monosaccharides in food are glucose, fructose and galactose. Formula is C6H12O6. It is represented as, these are the molecular structure. Then disaccharide means double bonded of sugar are formed when two monosaccharide molecules join together with the elimination of one molecule of water. When this eliminate one molecules of water, it is known as disaccharide. They have general formula C12H22 and O11. H2O. Examples of disaccharide are sucrose, glucose, fructose. Then lactose, glucose and galactose are there. In maltose, 2 molecules of glucose are there. Then polysaccharide, more than 9 units of sugar units are there, made of many monosaccharide molecules, usually joined together. Glucose are joined together. They have general formula is C6H10O5. When n in a large number, then number of polysaccharides are starch, glycogen, cellulose, beta glucans, pectins, etc. Then two main groups of carbohydrate are there. One is simple carb known as sugar. Another one complex carb is known as starch. Sorry, starch and sugars are two main groups of carbohydrate. Then main sources of carbohydrate in our diet include starchy food. Starchy food means which contains whitish color structures, is known as cereals, pulses, potatoes, and foods, drinks contain sugar such as milk, fruits, vegetable, jam, jelly, table sugar, soft drinks, etc. contain starch. At an average, starches account of almost 60% of the total carbohydrate intake in the average diet, and sugar form around 40%. Then, if we will look after the average carbohydrate intake, then starches account for the 60% of total carbohydrate intake in the we should take carbohydrate 60% and sugar from around 40%. Simple carb. In addition to starches and sugars, then well fiber in the form of given to the mixture of substances mainly come. Then these are the simple carb groups are starch and sugars. Then another one is complex carb is fiber. In the term given to the mixture of substances mainly complex carbohydrate which cannot be digested in the small intestine in humans but pass into the large bowel where they are fermented by the bacteria. Complex carbohydrates are good for our health because it is not easily absorbed in our body and also slowly release glucose into our body. से कौन करे ना बहुत स्लोली डाइजेशन कराए आउ सेमती स्लोली हमको ग्लूकोज रो रिलीज मध्य बॉडी को कराए. That's why complex carbohydrate is good and simple carbs are starch and sugars. It quickly absorbs in our body and quickly releases glucose into our body. Then which mixture substance which cannot be digested in the small intestine. Then after examples are cellulose, pectin, gorgum, beta glucan, etc. Fiber is defined as non-starchy polysaccharide NSP. The substances made of fiber have different actions in the body. A small amount of starch is not digested but passes into the large intestine where it is fermented by the bacteria and this is known as resistant starch. Which kind of foods are called resistant starch? Is known as green leafy vegetables. Then whole vegetables, these are called resistant starch. They cannot be digestion into our intestines and starch is not digested. The small amount of starch is not digested but passes into the large intestine where it may be fermented by the bacteria is known as resistant starch and may have properties similar to NSP. Then 1.4 is sugar, chemistry, functionality and the role in food industry. What are the role of food industry? What are the role of sugar in our food industry? Then sugar is known as simple carbohydrate or and these carbohydrate cannot be hydrolyzed into simpler form. It cannot be break down into simpler form are known as monosaccharides or simple sugar or cannot be hydrolyzed into simple form. Monosaccharides may be made up of 3 to 8 atoms of carbon. Then chemically they are polyhydroxyaldehyde or ketone groups depending upon the presence of aldehyde in the ketone structures. Then carbohydrate may be aldoses or ketoses. Then depending upon the number of carbon atoms in the present in the structure is known as, if the carbon atom is 5, then pentose, then 6 ketohexose are there. Then like this, we should count when we are look after the containing carbon atoms. Then we should call as pentose, hexose, then ribose, etc. Commonly occurring aldoses and ketoses are there, such as aldoses and ketoses in trioses, C3H6O. Here 3 carbon atoms are there, that's why we will call as trioses. Then tetroses, carbon atom is 4. Pentoses, carbon atom is present is 5. Then hexoses, carbon 6 atoms, etc. Then we should look after the classification of the sugar. Then sources and characteristics. Then monosaccharides classification: pentoses, ribose, axolose, arabinose, hexoses, glucose, fructose, galactose, etc. End products on hydrolysis breakdown. Then ribose is there, axolose is there. Then sources and characteristics are derived from the pentose of the fruits and nucleic acid of the meat product, where this kind of sugars are productions there. One from pentoses of fruits are there. Then meat products are in seafoods, does not occur in free form of food, is in aldose. Then glucose, then the sources of characteristics are fruits, honey, corn syrup, etc. Then it is known as monosaccharide form. Sources and characteristics are there. Then this disaccharide sources glucose, and it is an aldose form. Wheat and cane sugar sources are wheat and cane sugars, and molasses are there. And in crystal size and grades in there, lactose, glucose is an aldose. Then in galactose, milk and milk products, we should sources are milk and milk products. Maltose, malt products, concentration of trans and processed foods are there. These are the classifications of sugar: monosaccharides and disaccharides are there. Then sources also here, I should mention about the sources of the saccharides. Then functions and role of sugar in food. What are the role of sugar in food? Then what are the role? Now, the most obvious role of sugar in food is the impact sweetness. It gives a sweetness in taste. Then number of other roles this play in food systems. For example, in candy making, structural lococrystallization is usually critically. In baked products, sugar not only to contribute and also caramelization there. Then browning of the product. Here we will use sugar in browning of the product in bakery industries. Then it may be served to tenderize the product through the action of both the gelatinizations of starch in gelatin form and denaturations of the protein. Sugars have numerous other functions also, such as if they add flavor and functionally that enhances cooking, also contribute to safe and varied food supplies. Then these are the functions and roles of sugar in food industries. First of all, it gives sweetness to the food. Second one, it contributes to browning of the product. Then tenderizing the product. Gelatinization, by gelatin it produces gelatin in the starch, etc. In sweetness, sweetness is more recognized functional property of sweeteners while preparing toffees, while preparing kheers, while preparing puddings. Sugar is used and also enhances the sweetness of the and taste of the sweet dish or taste of the dish. Then in texture, glucose syrup in ice cream provide body and textures. Adding sugar syrup helps to prevent lactose crystallizations when we will add sugar syrup into the any sweet dish. Then it prevents lactose crystallization, and also cause a sandy and grainy texture associated with frozen dairy product. We should add for that textures of the frozen dairy products. Then also used in confectioneries to maintain a soft and smooth consistency. In bakery applications, sugar is used to flavor, aroma, and then for color. During the mixing process, excess gluten development can make dough and batter rigid and tough. In bakery applications, excess gluten development can make dough soft and also batter rigid and tough. We will add sugar in it. Then addition of sugar will ensure that gluten maintains an optimal elasticity, following the dough to expand and rise properly. For rising agent, we should add sugar in the bakery items. During mixing, flour proteins is surrounded with the water and forming gluten strands. Then sugar allows the dough to rise up the optimal rate during leavening. Then during baking, all air cells expand with carbon dioxide, other gases from the leavening agents to ensure just the right volume. It increases the volumes and it also gives the textures, etc. Then in bakery products, sugar is recrystallized as water is removed during baking, resulting in crispy textures. After baking, then sugar is recrystallized as water is removed during baking. During baking, what moisture is absent, then it resulting in crispy texture is seen. Then these are the functions. Sugar add to tenderize bakery product to slowing the rate at which standard molecule become interlinked and protein breakdown is there. It tenderizes the bakery products to slow and rate at which molecule become interlinked and protein will break down. Then glucose, fructose, sucrose and maltose are used in bread making to increase dough yield and prevent excessive stickiness. For prevent excessive stickiness, we should use sugar in the bakery industries. In the form of glucose, then fructose, then sucrose and maltose. Then the heat of baking causes the starch in flour to swell from moisture absorption and in gelatinizations. Then after that, preservation. In preservation, we also add sugar in for long-term preservations. In many products, sugar plays an important role in preservation. The addition of monosaccharides such as glucose or fructose to jam and jellies inhibits microbial growth. To control the microbial growth, we should add sugar syrups into the as a glucose or fructose to jam and jellies. Then it also stops the growth and subsequent spoilage. Then sugar have a great affinity for water, thus slowing moisture loss in the food. Then moisture loss in the food like baked food, extending the shelf life of the product. Both honey and inward sugar help to retain moisture due to their high fructose content. Then sugar are added to canned vegetable both to maintain firmness and minimize oxidation when the can is opened. When the can is opened, then it maintains its firmness and also minimize the oxidations. Then the fourth one is fermentation. It helps in preservations. It helps in fermentations. At the time of fermentation, the production of chemical by fermentating various sugar as well as accepted science ranges for producing beverages, since alcohol and fuel, ethanol of making citric acid and gum of food uses. Then ethanol has been made since ancient time by fermenting of the sugar. At the time of fermentations, when we will add little sugars, then it helps in fermentations. And ethanol has been made since we also use ethanol when produced at the time of fermentations of the sugar. Then the enzyme from yeast changes the simple sugar into insulin. When we will add fermented food into the sugar, then enzyme from yeast changes the simple sugar into ethanol and carbon dioxide. Then we can split sucrose into glucose and fructose either by means of strong acids such as sulfuric acid or by enzyme obtained from the yeast known as saccharase of the invertase. In the production of beverages, whiskey, brandy, and starches from potatoes, corn, wheat, other plants can be used in production of ethanol. At the time, in the alcoholic unit or alcoholic production unit, in there we should use starches of potato, then corn, wheat, other plants used in the production of ethanol by fermentation. It is known as alcohol unit. The starches must first be broken down into simple sugar, then enzyme released by germinating barley diasterase converts starches into sugar. It is known as alcohol formations. Thus, the germination of barley, called malting of the barley, is the first step in preparing beer from starchy plant. Corn and wheat, we should um, uh, these cereals are used at the time of ethanol productions or at the in the production of alcohol. Sugars which are used to activate yeast for fermentations, because sugar when we will add in the fermented units, then the yeast are activated and then good fermentation is going on. And in bakery industries also added duff in baked product to rate of fermentation also increases. In sugar such as sucrose, glucose and fermentable corn syrups, then sweetness and softness in white bread, and in contrast sugar are either omitted in much lower amounts for hard crust bread. Then also sugar that remain after fermentation affect flavor, then color, then textures, etc. Known as it changes the color of the bakery products as browning. Caramelization reactions after heating is also there. Then role of sugar in fermentations. Then appearances. Appearances means browning reactions and complexions reactions of the caramelizations also there. Then baked goods in coffee, maple syrup, then brown crust of the bread, all baked goods, potato chips, roasted nuts. In processed food containing browning is necessary. In the presence of sugar, it changes the color into the brown. Then the two major types of non-enzymatic browning reactions are Maillard reaction, reaction of aldehyde and ketone groups of sugar, amino compounds, mostly amino acid, peptides and proteins dependent on the presence of the oxygen. It also changes and colors changes, flavor changes, etc. are known as Maillard reaction. Then second one is caramelization, the changes which occur in polyhydroxycarbonate compound by sugar when heated in a specific temperature. When they are heated in high temperature in the presence of oxygen, then color changes into reddish and brownish color. Then what is Maillard reaction? It is non-enzymatic oxidative browning in simply the reaction between the amino group of the or peptide or amino acids and reducing group of reducing sugar in a high temperature. The amino group protein combines with the group of reducing sugar to produce brown color in a good aroma and also changes the color into brownish color. This reaction is known as Maillard reaction. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ରୋଟିନ୍ସ ବା ପ୍ରୋଟିନ୍ କୁ ସୁଗର କଣ୍ଟାକ୍ଟରେ ତାକୁ ହାଇ ଟେମ୍ପରେଚରରେ ହିଟ୍ କଲା ପରେ ତାର ଯେଉଁ ଫ୍ଲେଭର୍ସ ଆସେ ଆଉ ତାର ଯେଉଁ କଲର୍ ଚେଞ୍ଜେସ୍ ହୁଏ ବ୍ରାଉନିଶ, ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ୍ ନୋନ୍ ଆସ୍ ମାଲାର୍ଡ ରିଆକ୍ସନ୍. Caramelization of fructose produces a dark brown bread that contains sucrose, often yielded darker, where the products sugar contacted with any product and heated in a high temperature, then in color changes to brown color and also flavor also changes. This reaction is known as Maillard reaction. Then caramelization means action of heating up sugar at about 175 degrees centigrade at high temperature. Sugar dehydrate and break down and polymerize into various channels, and browning bread when toasted in there. Caramelization takes place under the oven and sugar added a golden brown in color. This is known as caramelization. The brown pigments formed are called as melanins or melanoids, which are unsaturated polymers. In both cases, carbonyl or polycarbonyl compound is required when food is extracted to remove the carbonyl compound, then browning color is seen. These two reactions is very important. One is Maillard reaction, one is caramelization. Then functions of the sugar is important. Functions of the functional role of sugar in food industry is give sweetness to the food, give textures to the food. Then it also used in the preservations of the food. Then at the time of fermentations or alcohol preparation, then sugar is needed. Then for good appearances also sugar is there, and two reactions are there. Reactions means some color is changes and flavor will come some different. That is known as one is Maillard reaction, one is caramelization. Okay. Then sixth one is freezing point. Sugar are effective in lowering the freezing point of the solutions. Frozen dessert, at the frozen dessert, then ice cream at the preparation of ice creams, then sugar is used. Monosaccharides and syrups containing high proportion of low molecular weight sugars are lowering the freezing point. Then the property ensures smaller eye crystals and smoothness of the product. For smoothness, for increasing of smoothness of the ice cream or smoothness of the dairy products, and for the ice crystallization sugar used. Then 7.1 is antioxidant activities there. Many carbohydrates are excellent scavengers to metal ions. Glucose, fructose, sugar alcohols. Sugar alcohols are sorbitols and mannitols, have ability to block the relative ions. And for this reason, some mixtures of Maillard reaction products have employed in the food industry as food additive for biscuits, cookies and sauce are there. Then miscellaneous applications are at the time of preparing of custards, at the time of preparing of puddings, at the time of preparing of pie fillings and cream base. These are we are using sugar. Dry starch is added directly to the hot liquid. The particles of the outside tend to the lumping the raw starch particles, and in icing we also it provides sweetness, flavor, bulk, icing, frosting, etc. we will use. These are the miscellaneous applications. We should add ice in we should add sugar in this preparation. Icing at the time of pudding, at the time of pie fillings, etc. Then frozen dessert applications we should. And for flavor and mouthfeel desserts we will use or sugar is used in this type of food industries, and it enhances the food color, texture and as well as sweetness. It is important question. Then unit 2, food polysaccharides and their applications. food polysaccharides and applications are there. Then monosaccharide, oligosaccharides, continuing the what are disaccharide. Different food polysaccharides and their applications. In second chapter, then it is known as different food polysaccharides are there. Their structure, properties, and functional are distributed. And then polysaccharides are known as starches. Characteristics and functional properties of the native and modified starches. Such as starch in your diet, where we will get the starch from potato, sweet potato, then colocasia, then yam. This contains starch. Then rice, corn, tapioca, pastas, etc. And these are the common sources in our diet as starch. Then we will study about the percentage of the starch in the food. In beverages, bottle emulsions, then 0 to 2 to 3%. Then cake mix icing, then we get starch 0.3 to 0.5. These are the starch present in the different food. Pie filling, canned, cooked, instant 3 to 7. Gum candy, we will get 5 to 12% is the starch. Then starch is the major carbohydrate reserve in plant tubers. And then in starchy food are also known as roots and tumors. Ba tubers mane मूଳ मूଳରୁ ଆମକୁ ବହୁତ starch ମିଳେ. Then and seed endosperms where is found in granules. Starch is second only to cellulose in abundance in one of the main carbohydrate synthesized in plants. Plants carbohydrates are known as starch. Then starch also represent the primary energy stores. 60 to 80% we get starch from everyday food. And from calories we get 60 to 80% starch. Then for many animals, includes humans, it is very variable ingredients to the food industry owing to versatility, consistent supply, and relatively inexpensive cost. Starch are very low in cost or not very expensive to the human. So we will get very reasonable price of the starch, such as potatoes, tapiocas, etc. are not very costly. Starch is mainly used as a thickener, but it also functions as a additives, binder, then encapsulating agent, film former, gelling agents, water binder, texturizer, fat sparing agents, and numerous various applications in the food and non-food areas. These are the functions of the starch. Then starch granules. Starch is a polysaccharide. Then chain of many glucose molecules are there. There are two types of glucose chains in starch. One is simple chain known as amylose, and other is the complex bond chain known as amylopectin. Two types of starches are there. One is simple chain known as amylose, and other is the complex branch from called amylopectin. Starch granules primarily are made up of amylose 20 to 30% and or amylopectin 18%. Then starch granules primarily made of whatever food we are consuming every day. Then amylose contains 20 to 30%. Then amylopectin this food is 80%. Molecules arranged radially. Each granule typically containing several amylopectin molecules made up of several million glucose units are there. Then amylopectin is the major component of most of the starches and is responsible for the organization of the granules. Amylopectin can be isolated in the waxy or maize starch. The corn starch is there, it is known as amylopectin. Then it is also in the form of waxy structure. Then it is best isolated after specifically hydrolyzing the amylopectin or the amylotic enzymes are there. One is then what is amylose? Amylose molecules have molecular weight ranging from 10 to 20. Amylose can extended shape. Then it will be wind to rather stiff left-handed single helix or form into the stiffer parallel left-handed. Then amylose is the two high amylose corn starches are commercially available. Apparently amylose contain about 52% too. Then amylose rich food are corn starches and amylopectins are waxy in structures known as maize or corn starch are there. Uh, amylose is the contain hydrogen atoms and lipophilic able to dissolve in or absorb fat is there, where hydroxyl group position on the exterior of the coil and it is easily dissolved in water is amylose, and when the waxy content is thin it is known as amylopectins. Then slightly outer on branch chains by inner branches are there, then containing the single reducing groups is there. The branch structure of the amylopectin is molecule somewhat stiff in appearance and knotted branch points of the row and chain separating them. Then we will look after the properties of the amylopectin and amylose. Two type of starches there. Then general studies. Average chain length glucose residue is 20, amylose is 20 to 25, then high branch is 20 to 30. It is known as amylopectin, which is waxy in waxy consistency in. That's why it is branched is highly, such as 20 to 30 units. Then degree of polymerization, when we will divide into polymerization it, then 10 to 1000, then it is very high, 10,000 to 1 lakh. Then molecular weight is 10 is to 4 and 10 is to 6, then this is 10 is to 6 to 8. Then all amylase and amylopectins properties are quite different, and amylopectin is highly branched and it is essentially linear. Then starch properties. Gelatinization and retrogradations are the basic properties of the starches, because starches it settle down at the bottom, as well as it gives the waxy textures or gelatin textures. Excuse me. Then starch gelatination means starch is insoluble in cold water. It is not soluble in the water, but in warm water it will until it gelatinization. How gelatin is produced? Then when we will boil or will use the hot water instead of cold water. Then temperature begins to lose its structure. When the temperature rises, then its structure will lose and reaches out to the constituent of gelatin production is there. The act of converting in the substance like jelly called is known as gelatination. When the temperature is more, when the starch is in contact with hot water or in boiling form or in this type, then one jelly form is produced. It is known as gelatinization. Gelatination is known as presence of heat and moisture. Looking cooking of the starch in 100 degrees centigrade disruptor and bonding and causes swelling of the granules. And during gelatinization, water is absorbed and as a result, the starch granules swells and several times of the size. When during gelatinization, then at that time when the temperature rises, then the water is absorbed as a result and the starch will swell up. It is known as gelatinization. And its temperature is 60 to 70 degrees centigrade most of the starches. Then in damaged starch granules are insoluble in cold water and can be imbibes water reversibly and swell slightly. Then what is this is known as gelatinization, and it is what is starch retrogradations. The starch paste or solution obtained after gelatinization is not stable. After gelatin productions, the starch is also not stable and generally produces a elasticity. Then firm and rigid. Structural transformations occur during storage. Then structural transformations occurs when at the time of storage of the gelatinization product. As starch paste are cooled, stored, and starch became progressively less soluble. In dilute solution, starch molecules will precipitate and insoluble material being difficult to redissolve by heating. It is not dissolved in heating. Then collective processes of dissolved starches became less soluble and retrogradations are there. Retrogradations of cooked starch involves constituent polymers and amylopectins, and it also after this retrogradations then waxy structures are seen known as amylopectins, and some of the upon cooling the dispersed starch polysaccharides concentrates amylose solutions rapidly gel on cooling to room temperature. Then these are the starch retrogradations, and then it are known as starch gelatination. Two types of starches there. Then functional properties of starches are it gives thickness to the carbohydrate. Starches have numerous number of food uses: adhesives, binding, dusting, farm coating, foam strengthening, stelling, gelling, glazing, moisture retaining, stabilizing, texturizing, etc. Then functions of starch is also important, such as it gives thickness to the food at the time of cooking, at the time of sauce making, at the time of pie filling. Then it also works as a binder at the time of formed meats or processed meat. Then emulsions of stabilizers, it enhances the flavor. Then bottle emulsions, then coating of the candles. Then it is a water binder because at the time of bakery products of the cakes, pastries, etc., then it helps in water binder. Then its function is the water binder. Then free flowing bulking agents also in releasing agents. Fat replacer means In salad dressings we are using, in dairy products we are using, it is fat replacer. At the replacement of the fats we should use starches. Then starch is the main thickener in gravies, sauces and puddings. It gives thickener to the food products. Then bulking and swelling of, because it absorbs the water in mouthfeel of many food products. Then sedimented gels formed and in dry wet. Then water binding abilities of starches is there at the time of bakery products. Then some of starch and products, starch gradations not absorbed in small intestine of healthy individuals. Then starch also, it is defined as some of what is resistant starch. Then resistant starch is a dietary fiber. 12 number. Wait करता Then resistant starch should be considered dietary fiber and can be defined as the sum of starch and product of starch degradations not absorbed in small intestine of healthy individual. In healthy individuals, this type of resistant starch cannot be absorbed in the small intestine. It serves as a primary source of substitutes for intestinal microflora, which may important vitamins and several important physiological roles, and the stable retrograde starches found in bread and bakery products are seen. Then modified starches are also there in at the time of baking, and this time resistant starch, uh, these are known as resistant starch and it cannot be absorbed in the small intestine. Then these are the functions of starch is important, and also the properties, types of starches is important, and starch is used in the form of gelatinizations and in retrogradations, and functions of starch is important. Then what are modified starches? Modifications of food starches are, what are the modified starches? The native starches are therefore modified to overcome one or more of the above shortcoming, thus expanding the usefulness of starch for a myriad application. Food starches are, when good manufacturing practices therefore effort as modified starch. Then when we will used in the food industries for thickness, for water binding, etc., is known as modified starch. After applications in the industrial applications in the industrial food units, then it is known as modified starches. Then modified of food starches are, for example, gelatinization's temperature and cooking characteristics, solid viscosity relationships, then ionic characters are there, resistance to change in viscosity space due to acid conditions mechanism and high temperatures. Then modifications of food starches are used in this unit, in gelatinization temperature, in solid viscosity, in ionic character, in also modification of native starch can be either physical or chemical. Then reaction of starch with acid or alkali is called acid modified starch. When the modification of starch used chemically, modifications are there, when it is comes in contact with acid or alkali, it is known as acid modified starches. And oxidized starches, it is also known as acid modified starch or oxidized starch. Then hydrolysis was commonly used method of modification since long time of vinegar known as amyloidic enzyme were used to treatment. Then at the time of hydrolysis, class class okay. Then modified hydrolysis was commonly used method of modification since long time, and vinegar as well as amyloidic enzymes were used for this treatment. At the time of hydrolysis, then amyloidic enzymes are used. Starch modification can also be induced by modifying the process of, state here, biosynthesis and of the technological development. Then in the case of oxidations, carboxyl groups in the molecules are also branch structures are there. And here one table 2.4 preparation and properties of modified starches are given here. When it is contacted with acid modified thin boiling, then corn methods are corn starch slurring acids in 50 degrees centigrade for 12 hours. Then low paste viscosity is seen here and more soluble is there, and higher gel strength is there. Gel formation is more high, and it is used in candy and textile laundry. Then oxidized, then thin boiling, ester acetate there, phosphate monoesters are there in ionic anionic methods. Then it also hydric and anhydride in 50 degrees centigrade. Then starch phosphate salt in 120 to 140 degrees centigrade. It is the preparation properties of modified starches in the food industries, and where it is used are also mentioned here. In starches have been applied in foods and coating and sealing agents in candy industries or confectionery, emulsifiers as drop conditioners for bread, and gum aerobics replacers are there. Provides excellent stabilizing and thickening performance is there, and used as emulsifier for vegetable oil in water. Then these are the product we will used in modified starches. Methods are there. Then what are the properties are there, and where we will use these modified starches are also there. Then the one is modified of food starches in industries. Second one is use of modified starches in food and confectionery industries. And in confectionery industries, modified starches are used in preparing of jelly beans, salad dressings, tomato, pizza toppings, canned soups, etc. And also here table 2.5, it modifies starches and accents are there. Instant desserts, modified starches we are using. How does it work? Starch is added in the pre-gelatinization in the form, which swells in cold water, and thickening the product without the using of hot water. We will simply use in cold water. Instant dessert for jelly beans, and produces a very strong gel containing starch is treated in acid, produce very strong gel. Then salad dressings, tomato pizza toppings also, starch is treated to chlorine solutions. This produces a gel which thickens on heating and prevent topping from spilling. These are the how does it work, and in modified starches are used, and it works in which kind of food products. Then the next is 2.3 food hydrocolloids and introduction. What is food hydrocolloids? Food hydrocolloids are hydrophilic polymers of vegetables, animal, microbial or synthetic origins that generally contain many hydroxyl groups and may be polyelectrolytes. It contains polyelectrolytes, and it is a hydrophilic polymers of, it contains vegetable, animal, microbial, synthetic origin, contain many hydroxyl group. It contains many hydroxyl group, maybe polyelectrolyte also we will call as polyelectrolytes. For example, including at the time of when we will thickening of the food products, we will add thickeners. Then at the time of gel productions, etc., it increases the viscosity of the product. And then it also contain it, it works as a water binder, and but also significant are emulsions, stabilizations, preventions of ice recrystallization. At the time of recrystallizations in ice cream factories, ice cream production units, here we will use two hydrocolloids. We are following this food hydrocolloids are uh, we are using the food hydrochlorides are used hydrocolloids are used at the crystallizations of the ice cream in ice cream factories. Then some of the food hydrocolloids includes alginates and carboxymethyl cellulose. Guar gums are there, gum aerobics are there, xanthan gums are there, then carrageenans are there. These are the food examples of food colloids, and we should used in the food industries for the gelatinization, gels formations, and for the water binders, then ice cream ice crystallizations, and we should used in the food industries. This is known as food hydrocolloids. You have to give examples of this ହାଇଡ୍ରେଟ୍ କାର୍ବୋକ୍ସିମିଥାଇଲ୍ ସେଲୁଲୋଜ୍ ଗୋରଗମ୍ସ ଏଇସବୁ ଏକ୍ଜାମ୍ପଲ୍ସ ଗୁଡ଼ା ଦେବେ ଆଉ ତାର ଆର ଡେଫିନେସନ୍ସ ଲେଖିବେ. ଇଟ୍ ଆର୍ ଦ ହାଇଡ୍ରୋଫିଲିକ୍ ପଲିମର୍ସ. It comes from the vegetables, animals, microbial, synthetic origins are also there, and it contains many hydroxyl groups of the polyelectrolyte. We also called as polyelectrolyte. Therefore, these are the examples we should add in this kind of food industries. Then all hydrocolloids interacts with water and reducing the diffusion and stabilizing it. It should stabilize the water reductions. ମାନେ ଯେଉଁଥିରେ ମଏଶ୍ଚର୍ ବହୁତ ଥାଏ ତାକୁ ଆମେ ବାଲାନ୍ସ କରିକି ମଏଶ୍ଚର୍ ପୁରା ଡିହାଇଡ୍ରେଟ୍ କଲା ପରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ସେଇଟା ଫୁଡ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡଷ୍ଟ୍ରିରେ ଲଗାଉ, ଇଟ୍ ଇଜ୍ ନୋନ୍ ଆଜ୍ ହାଇଡ୍ରୋcolloids interactions. Then interaction between hydrocolloids and water depend on hydrogen bond. It depends upon the hydrogen bonds. What is the units of hydrogens and bonds in there in food industries? Then we will it is depend on the hydrogen bonding, and then it depends on the hydrogen unit of the food items. Then hydrogen unit ଯେତିକି ଥିବ ସେଇ ଅନୁସାରେ ତାର colloid forms ଟା ହବ. Then temperature in the same way as water cluster formations. Water binding affects textures and processing characteristics, prevent syneresis and economically benefits. Hydrocolloids can provide water for increasing the flexibility of food components. Then it also hydrocolloids ingredients, hydrochlorides items. It also increasing the flexibility of the food components. It enhances the food it enhances the increase flexibility of the food components. How it flexible? Because it absorbs the lots of moisture from the food. ଯେତେବେଳେ ମଏଶ୍ଚର୍ ବହୁତ ମାତ୍ରାରେ ଯେଉଁ ଫୁଡ଼୍ରେ ଥାଏ ତାକୁ ସେ ବାଲାନ୍ସ କରେ, ସେଥିପାଇଁ କି ଫୁଡ଼୍ର ଫ୍ଲେକ୍ସିବିଲିଟିଟା ବଢ଼େ. And also it enhances the texture of the frozen food because it has hydrocolloids enhances the texture of the frozen food, and it helps in recrystallizations of the chilled items. Or ice recrystallization helps in to prevent the ice recrystallization. It prevents ice recrystallization. That's why it influences the texture of the frozen foods. Then the hydrocolloids are used to increase viscosity and stabilize foodstuffs by preventing settling, separation, form of collapse, and crystallizations. Then hydrocolloids are extremely versatile and production of pseudoplasticity, fluidity under shears at high temperature of the is mixing and processing followed by thickening on cooling. Then we should add when we will add this hydrocolloidal items, and we should reheat it in high temperature in ease mixing, and then after processing the thickening, after cooling, when we will heat the hydrocolloidal items, and then mixing it well, then we should boiled in a special high temperatures. Then after cooling, some thickening agent is seen. It is known as cytoplasticity or fluidity under shear of the food components. Then liquefations of heating followed by gelling on cooling. When it's after boiled, then we will remain for cooling. Then after cooling, some gelling structure is formed. This is known as liquefations on heating. Then gelling on heating of hold the structure together. Then production and stabilization of multi-phase system include farms. Then these are the definitions and examples of hydrocolloids items. Then we will go for classifications of hydrocolloids. Then hydrocolloids are solubility, thickening and gelling properties in water, and these hydrocolloids items are works on water only for gelling properties in water. And these are the two major classes are there. One is natural gums. These are derived from various plants as well as microbial sources, divided into following basic categories. Then two types of hydrocolloids are there. One is natural gums. Natural gums, it derives from the plant source, and microbial sources are divided into basic categories. And natural gums are also coming under basic categories: seaweed gums known as agar, alginate, then carrageenan. Then tree extracts are gum arabic, gum gatti, and gum caria, gum pretathan. Then seed or roots gums are gore gums, locust bean gums, etc. Then microbial fermented gums are xanthan gums, Pollulans, dextran, and cordylan. These are the natural gums derived from the various plant sources, and some are from microbial fermentations. When after microbial fermentation, some gums are formed. This is known as microbial fermentation gums. Then what is modified or semi? Then second one is modified or semi-synthetic gums. One is natural gum and second one is modified gum. Modified gum is also known as semi-synthetic gum. There are several polymers are there which are chemically modified to give a new product with improved functional properties. Then these modified gums, then chemically, when we will chemically modify the gums to give a new product with improved functional properties. जहाँ तादरे functional properties थिबो, ଯେତେବେଳେ ସେଟା chemically modified ହେଇଯିବ, when it will reheated with the help of alkali, with the help of base, then the new product is produced with the improved functional properties. तादरे गोटे improved functional properties create हबो. They also fall into several different areas, but most commonly needed include carboxymethyl cellulose. Methyl cellulose are there, hydro propyl methyl cellulose are there, and hydroxy polycellulose are there. Eitherly hydroxy cellulose are there. Then these are the new products, a new production. Then these are the new production of functional properties are occurs. Then the use of gums in various food may affect the functional properties. It has water binding capacity. Then it has capacity to form harm or gel, or rheological properties are there. Osmotic pressure are also there. It balances the water. Then capacity to bind flavor compounds. Then high gross capacity are there. Chemical reactivity are there. Sweetening and taste enhancement is there, and resorption is also there. These are the use of gums in various food may affect the functional properties. We will use these gums in food industries or food products for the enhancement of the functional properties. Then functions of the gum is also important. What are the functions of the gums? Adhesives, binding agents, calorie control agents, crystallizations, clarifying agents, clouding agents, coating agents, emulsifiers, then film former, then foam stabilizer, gelling agent. Then we will use the stabilizer, swelling agent, thickening agent, water binding, and whipping agent. After whipping, it rises upwards. Then examples are adhesives are used in bakery glaze, binding agents in sauce, then calorie control agent dietetic food, crystallizations are used in ice cream, sugar syrup, clarifying agents used in beer and wine industries, clouding agents are in fruit juices, coating agents are confectionery, emulsifiers used in salad dressings, etc. etc. You should look after the functions of the gum. What are the functions of the gum and what are the examples used in the food industries? You should give the examples. Then in table number 2.7, classification of hydrocolloids by functions is there. Gore gums, thickener, positive signs is there. Then gelling agent, it should not create the gelatinization, and stabilization also not there. Then locust bean gum is thickener. It used in thickener in food industries, and gelling not form gels, and it not stabilizer. Then pectin form the gelling agent, and also it also a stabilizer, etc. These are the hydrocolloids items are there. Gore gums, locust bean gums, pectin, alginate, agar, carrageenan, cellulose, gum, tetranthan, gum aerobic, starches, xanthan gums are there. Then it has some has thickener properties, some has gelling agent properties, some also have stabilizer properties. These are the properties. Some of these hydrocolloids are thickening properties, some has gelling agents, some has stabilizing agents, etc. Then these are the classification hydrocolloids by its functions. Then 2.4 is non-starch polysaccharides. What is non-starch? It is starches are there, and it is non-starchy polysaccharides are complex carbohydrates. Besides starch, a mixture of substances called non-starch polysaccharides also constituent carbohydrates. Then dietary fiber is known as non-starch polysaccharides. These are the materials found in the cell walls of the plants which give the plants a structure and form, and it includes those carbohydrates that are not digested, not absorbed but pass through the colon where bacteria ferment them for energy, thereby stimulating their growth, and also bacteria ferment them for energy. Because the term dietary fiber describes a nutritional concept rather than a component of diet, it has been suggested that it has been phased out and replaced with the term NSP, but this has been difficult because the word fiber is so widely used. Then the term polysaccharide in the plant cell wall are cellulose, carboxymethyl cellulose, and cellulose are found in plants and microfills are green leafy vegetables, fruits and vegetables are known as cellulose or complex carbohydrate. Then it cannot be digested or absorbed in the small intestine and passes through the colon, and when the fermentation of bacteria is over, then energy elements the energy or stimulates their growth. Then it produces energy and then thereby stimulating their growth. Then what is cellulose? Cellulose is found in plant microfibrils, and in the cell wall, cellulose is mostly prepared from wood pulps, and cellulose has used in anti-caking agents, emulsifier, stabilizer, dispersing agent, thickeners, gelling agent. It is also the works of the cellulose is same. Then it also works as a gelling agent. It works as a thickeners, then stabilizer, etc. Then food applications of food industries, baked foods, functions are adhesions by fat exclusions, properties utilizes, farm formations, viscosities, frozen desserts, texturizer, stabilizer, fascial growth retarder, inhabitations, etc. Milk and yogurt drinks, stabilizations, it is functions is in stabilization it is used, and in properties utilized where we will utilize the um, milk and yogurt drinks, interaction with milk, protein, dispersants. Oh, sorry. Carboxymethyl cellulose. What are the carboxyl methyl cellulose? It is a long chain. It is also water soluble. It is modified polysaccharide. It is derived of the cellulose form by its reaction with alkali and in the acetic acids. When it is reaction with alkali solutions or in acid, then it will uh, it will form a reactions known as carboxymethyl cellulose. Then CMC is a white to cream colored, tasteless, odorless, free flowing powder, etc. Then CMC is used in food industry as it allows to use as thickener, emulsion stabilizers, example with milk acids, and even in low viscosities, and used in food industries, that is used in retarding, stalling, reducing fat intake in fried food. Here the food industries are there, functions are there, and where it is utilized, CMCs are utilized also here. Fractional growth retarder, then interaction with milk protein dispersant is there. Then in pet foods, adhesions and rheologicals are there. Then sauces and in topping syrups and rheologicals properties are utilized here. Then what is hemicellulose? It is the plant cell wall most abundant compound present, alpha cellulose with long fibers embedded. Hemicellulose gives fruits and vegetable syrups chewy, fibrous characteristics, and particularly partially remain after cooking. Then what are the nutritional effects? Hemicellulases are classified under the category of soluble dietary fibers. Hemicellulose is an indigestible complex carbohydrate that absorbs water. What are the hemicellulose? Hemicellulose are classified under the category of soluble dietary fiber. Hemicellulose is an indigestible complex carbohydrate that absorbs water. It is not digested in our small intestine, and also it absorbs the water. It is good for promoting weight loss, relieving constipations, controlling carcinogens in intestinal tract. Then in commercial products, possesses the ability to reduce serum cholesterol. Oats, barley, examples are oats, barley, beta-glucans when taken in food, reduce postprandial serum glucose levels, reduce insulin response, and serum cholesterol levels are there. Then food applications. What are the food applications? Hemicellulose find their applications in food systems are emulsifier, stabilizer, and binding in flavor bases, dressings, and pudding mixes. Fiber and stimulate the immune systems, and also it is used in stabilizer. Then water emulsions are stabilized by corn fiber gum. Then nutritional effects of hemicellulose are it absorbs the water from our body and it is not fully or partially digested in our intestine, and it also control our cardiovascular disease, obesity, diabetes, any lifestyle disorder, any lifestyle disease. This should control because it contains complex carbohydrate. Then the next one is pectin. What is pectin? Then the word pectin is derived from the Greek word known as congeal or solidified. Pectins mean congeal, or in Greek words is known as congeal or solidifies. Pectin is an acidic structural polysaccharide found in fruits and vegetables and mainly prepared from waste, citrus peel, and apple pomace. Pectin is present as a structural polysaccharide in the middle, lamella, and primary cell wall of higher plant. Then pectin, what are pectins? Pectins is known as solidifies, and it is acidic structural polysaccharide found in fruits and vegetables, mainly prepared from waste citrus peel, and it contains the pectins are present in skin of the fruits and vegetables. Then pectin is present as a structural polysaccharide in the middle lamella and primary cell wall of higher plants. Pectin is a polygalacturonic acid ester known as ramenose, arabinose, and galactose. Pectin is industrially extracted from apple, citrus pomace, and traded internationally in a purified and standardized form. So there are three main types of pectins are there. Low methoxypectin is there, high methoxypectin is there, and then amidated pectin are there. Three types of pectins are there. We will found pectins from the extracted from apple and citrus pomace and also the skin of the fruits and vegetables. Pectin is generally soluble in water and insoluble in most organic solvents. It is soluble water but insoluble in some organic solvents are there, and it cannot be dissolved in organic solvents. Pectin solution shows relatively low viscosities than other plant hydrocolloids. It has low viscosity than other plant hydrocolloids, and then lower ester pectins form gels in the presence of calcium and other divalent metal ions, and it has low ester pectin form gels in the presence of calcium. Its function is gelling agents. It also acts as a thickener, also a water binder, and also a stabilizer. No methoxypectins in thermoversible gels in presence of calcium iron and in pH is 3 to 4.5. Whereas high methoxypectins is rapidly from thermal irreversible gel. The functions of pectin is gelling agent, thickeners, water binder, and stabilizer, and it is good for the human health. Then in such as sucrose has low pH less than 3 to 5 and lower the methoxy content, and here the table 2.9 food applications of pectins are there. Pectins are used in jam production, jellies productions, preserves, and functions of pectin is gelling agent, thickeners, and pectin label is also mentioned here. In bakery filling and glazing, gelling agents, thickeners are there. In food preparation, thickener stabilizers. Functions of pectin is in the cases of thickeners and used in stabilizer, and confectionery used as gelling agents, thickeners, dairy product used as stabilizer and gelling agents. These are the food applications of pectin. Types of starches are important. You have to write pectins, hemicellulose, carboxymethyl cellulose, non-starch, what is starchy polysaccharides and what is non-starchy polysaccharides. Different types of starch is also important. Then algal polysaccharides are there. Then algal polysaccharides are agar, alginate and carrageenans. Then one is agar. Agar is a polysaccharide found in the cell wall of the some red algae. ସବୁ red algae ରୁ ଆମର agarଟା ଆସେ usually in the containing sulfated galactose monomers. Then in these cases, um, structure and composition of the agar extract is gelidium amensil shows that composed of two major functions. One is agarose and neutral polymers and agaropectins is there. A charged sulfated galactons are ratio of the two polymers in very widely, and percentage of agars are 50 to 90% are there. Agar is the compositions of the agarose and agaropectins are also there, consist of mixture of agarose and agaropectins. In mixtures of agarose and agaropectin, agar is formed. Then in gelations, agar gels can be formed in very dilute solutions. Fractions of 1% agar is there and concentration is lower as 0.4 percentage. Then viscosity is gelations point is relatively constant. pH value is 4.5 to 9.0. In food applications, bakery industries has been used larger use of agar because of heat resistance. Because the heat resistance properties in agar, it is used in bakery industries. Then what is alginate? Alginates are produced by brown seaweeds. It is agar is found in red seaweeds and alginate is found in brown seaweeds. Then the acid polysaccharides gum occurs in the insoluble mixed calcium, sodium, potassium, magnesium salt in the brown seaweeds. Then in food applications, the alginates has been ability to soluble alginate salts to produce attractive edible gels and jellies. And these alginates are produced by brown seaweeds, and it is used and in the formations in the productions of edible gels and jellies. We should add alginate salts to produce attractive edible gels and jelly. It is also used in food industries, and ability of soluble alginate salts to produce attractive and edible gels and jellies. Then it also has water holding properties and readily dispersible in ice cream mixes and contribute good body properties, excellent texture production. We should use alginate in these food industries. Then the oxidative rancidity in the quick frozen fish has been prevented by block freezing fish in alginate jelly. Also it helps in cloud retention, clarification in orange squash and crush. It is used in orange squash for cloud retention. Then also oxidative rancidity in the frozen fish, and also used in bakery industries for not in bakery industry. It is alginate used to ability to soluble alginate salts to produce attractive edible gems or jelly in confectionery industries. And also this has been used for production of dry powder to give a quick setting gels. It is a good stabilizer and possessing water holding properties of alga that is readily discoverable in ice cream mixes. We should use in ice cream production units for stabilization, for water binding capacity, etc. We will use in food industries. Then third one is carrageenan. Carrageenan is a collective term of polysaccharide prepared by alkaline extraction and modifications, and it derived from red seaweeds. It is from brown seaweed. Alginate is derived produced by brown seaweeds. It is produced by red seaweeds. Then carrageenans is a sulfated galactose polymers, and it is from the red algae. Then it is used in food applications. It comes from the family of hydrocolloids. These also comes under the coming under the hydrochloride family, and different properties of the wide variety of uses are there. And it has gelling capacities, and also it gives good textures to the food, and it has low and hot viscosities at elevated in a high temperature. It has low viscosities, and then increases milk solids contents, and also sodium salt of lambda and kappa carrageenans in concentration is this. It improves dog characteristics, allows the high level of non-fat milk solids. Then these are the we should apply these types of algae in food industries for water binding, for stabilizations of the food, then gelling form, and also maintain the viscosities of the food items. It is also important about the algal, what are the types of algal polysaccharides which are formed from the algae. One is from red algae is agar, then brown algae from alginate, then red seaweeds from carrageenans are there. Then seed gums. Seed gums are polysaccharides derived from plants and seeds which have been used for thousands of years. These are derived from algae. That's why that's why it has derived, it has found in algae or produced from algae known as agar and alginate and carrageenan, and it is derived from the plant and seeds known as seed gums. Seed gums are light to dark cream colored amorphous powder characterized by forming viscous and clear solutions. Excellent compatibility characteristics with organic, inorganic substances, certain dyes and various constituents of the food, and effective in settling or properties even lower concentrations. Seed gums are light to dark cream colored amorphous powder characterized by foaming, viscous, and clear solutions when disposed or dissolved in hot or cold water. When these seed gums are in powder form, we should dissolve in hot or cold water. Then dark light cream colored. Then it form for it balances the viscosity of the food products. Then clear solution is seen when it's disposed or dissolved in hot or cold water is known as seed gums. Then excellent compatibility of characteristics with organic, inorganic substances, including certain dyes and various constituents of the food. Then in seed gums, one is locust bean gum is there. Different types of seed gums are there. Then first one is locust gum bean. It is known as carob bean gums. It extracted from the seed by kernels of the carob trees. One of the tree name is carob, and from the seeds or kernels of the carob seeds, it is extracted and known as locust bean gum. Then locust bean gum is composed of galactomannan, galactose, mannose in the ratio of 1:4. Then properties is it is slightly soluble in water at the room temperature and must be heated in 75 to 85 degrees centigrade for complete hydration and viscosity development. For complete hydration and for balanced viscosity or viscosity development, we should heat it that locust bean gum in 75 to 85 degrees centigrade. Then in food industries, we will use as locust bean gum must be used on basis of ice cream stabilizer. We should use this locust bean gums used in ice cream stabilization, ice cream industries to stabilize the ice cream. Then addition of carrageenan with locust bean gum result in homogeneous ice cream mix dispersion. With the combinations of the carrageenan or wheat extract gum and it is seed extract gum combinations of the locust and carrageenan. Then this the results is homogeneous ice cream mixes dispersions and it also helps in retired ice crystallization, growth of foaming structured gel in solid or liquid interference. Then it gives creamy cheese and similar products are measured outlaws for locust bean gum. It helps in um, enhances the creamy structure and cheesy structures of the food materials and controlling moisture in the end product. And locust bean gum is used in ingredient, especially products such as salami, sauces, etc. And also it is used in bread flour supplemented with locust bean gum produces the dog with constant properties. It locust bean gum is used in ice cream industries for stabilizer. Then it also enhances the creamy and cheesy structure of the this confectionery or bakery industries. Then also bread supplements. It locust bean gums produces a tops with constant properties and which will palatable in longer time. And then last then in seed gums, one is locust bean gum is there and second one is gore gum. Gore gum is derived from the seed of legumes and it also legumes and it compositions are galactose and mannose in the form of 1:2 ratio. Then in food industries, gore gums impart smoothness to the ice cream. It enhances the smoothness of the ice cream and promoting small ice crystals during the freezing process. At the time of freezing process, we should use gore gums for promoting small ice crystals. Then gum in the dressing of cottage cheese processing promote cord integrity by friction reduction turbidity. And in the processing of the codling, in the processing of cheese preparation, then it helps in processing and promote is integrity or the reduction or turbidity. Um, um, it control the friction reductions and turbidity of the while the processing of the cord and cottage cheese. Then gore influences baked good in both dough and finished product. It is used in tomato sauce basin sauces help to maintain desirable colors. If we will add in gore gum in any sauces item, then it maintains the color and imparting body and stabilizing the system. Then gore gum imparts a desirable gloss or since to canned pet foods. Removal of pet food from the can is facilitated by the friction reduction functions of the agar. Then in this type of starches, types of starches are seed gums are there. Then also algae gums are there, algal polysaccharides are there. These are very important. You have to read the book thoroughly and properly. Then you should, these are the whatever we discussed today, we will discuss today. That's the very most important. And you should repeatedly read the books, and when the doubt is occur, then you can ask me in next class. Thank you.